Don't ruin my morning. I think it's best said here. It says a tragedy and comedy in perfect proportion. Definitely, because is that not life? Hello, my name is Joella, and today I'm gonna do a short book review for this beautiful book right here. The title's weird, believe me, it's not about frogs. It's like how John Green has titles like Turtles All the Way Down or Paper Towns, and the meaning comes through in the middle of the book. So yeah, you see what I'm saying? It's already at a great level, got a great comparisons. But seriously, this is in African literature. It's the first one I've read like properly, like I actually want to read, and I loved it so much. So the book revolves around three characters: a principal, a young man, and a young girl. They all have different situations at home, they all have different pasts, and it's so interesting seeing their lives. What I like most about the book is that each character feels so distinct, and even the side characters don't feel like side characters. They feel like they're part of the bigger story at large, and they don't feel like just flat characters used for the sake of plot. Each character is used for themselves. Like, they're not just there for the sake of pushing the protagonist. They're there because they're needed there, because they're special in this slice of life kind of story. It's easy to read, it's short. I read it in one sitting and I freaking loved it.
It's so late, but I don't care because I love this book.
The story is set in London. The writer is from Britain but lives in Botswana, which is my home. And yeah, I can't say much about it because it's that type of story where anything I say could probably spoil. It's a story, it's a slice of life. You just have to go through it and just enjoy it. It's like a show. Like, you know, there's certain shows that you just can't explain because they're just so beautiful and so good that if you say anything, it ruins the atmosphere of the story. It's like Modern Family, all right? It's like Modern Family. It's just following these different characters, and it's just seeing life through their eyes and then seeing that reflect into your life. And it's like, ooh, I think it just covers so many things so nicely. It doesn't want to be pretentious. It's just here. It's a good book without having to say, I'm a good book.
Number one thing about this book is friendship. It's really highlighted the friendship that you always want to see in a book. That's what this book has. It's so beautiful. Romance, yes, it's there, but it's not like a very core part of the story. So if you're not really into romance, hooray for you. Divorce, yes, seeing characters going through trials and tribulations sometimes is very necessary, and it's kind of fun to see, no lie. And then lastly, living. This book is about living. It inspires you to live. Like, this is an inspiration about living and really putting your hands on the wheel of your life. You know, just, you gotta do what you gotta do. Lastly, abuse is there, so that's just a trigger warning. There's a certain level of abuse, domestic abuse, so do watch out. Yeah,
it's lovely. It's so original in a way. Not like original in the sense that no one has ever done this thing before. It's original in the sense of the feeling I get from this book. I did not expect to love it so much. Like, it's one of my top books now because it's just so different. I'm like, in between fantasy books, a type of book like this is just so necessary just to break the chain. I'm reading The Witcher right now, and I'm in between the third book in the series, and I just wanted a break from it, and then I read this and it was like perfect. The Frog Theory by Fiona is top-notch book. It really is worth it. It was published recently, I think in 2017. The book was published in 2019, and I'm not sure if the author has written anything else. If she has, I'd love to read more. But yeah, it's a good book, and then each chapter has like a title for it, and that I love when it does that because it makes me feel like the story is more tangible and I'm following along and there's a plan here. I'm not just running around chapter to chapter trying to get to the good part, but each chapter has like something special about it. Like, let me show you. You know, like in middle grade books where like they have these, yeah, like this is the type of thing, and I like it because each like scene or each chapter is really important because it's showing a certain type of situation that I think we've all kind of been in. And it's just, it's cute. It's so cute. Such a beautiful story, man. And you don't have to exactly have gone through the same experiences that the characters have gone through to understand them. Like, it's just a book that really inspires empathy. I think that's the best way to put it. And it's just so good. I have nothing else to say. It's good. As someone who did not read African literature, like I always had the worst expectations for African literature. I never thought it would be something that I would enjoy. I thought it was just something that's like more education based, like learning about, I don't know, about colonization and stuff like that. I thought that's what African lit was, that I didn't realize that African lit has fiction and like is actually really good, because I had low expectations for this. I didn't expect to love it so much. Now I got another African lit book ready to read and I'm gonna probably review next week, and I'm loving it. I feel very inspired to be reading African literature right now, because I feel like, as someone who lives on the continent, or anyone who lives on this continent and or raised here or whatever. Like, I feel like we have to take the time to appreciate our literature that comes from here, because it matters. And I think that's where we can really start changing things up and shaking things up in this continent of ours, in our different countries. Yeah, I really need to do better, and I strongly advise other people to start reading African literature. I mean, even if you're not an African, I feel like these stories are very much worth your time. A book reviewer that I love so much, she's constantly posting about African literature, like, my god. The booktuber I'm referring to has the channel name Young, Gifted and Black. She's amazing, and I watch her videos so that I can find African lit books that I'm going to enjoy, as well as Pabalo and A Time to Share books. I'll link them all down below, and they really just have so many books that I want to read, and they inspire me to read more African literature, not just South African literature or Botswana literature, but like everywhere in this continent, because I feel that's the contemporary that speaks to me most. Each of these lovely booktubers talk about African lit books, and I'm very inspired to read more and just incorporate it as like a priority in my reading as well, because I think I've read a lot of Western stories and European influence stories, but not enough African stories, and I feel like that's my fault, and I need to do better. I can't just sit around and start complaining about Africa without doing my part, you know? Just trying to be better. Thank you for watching this. I hope you do read it. I hope you pick it up. I hope you take the chance on it, because it is a pretty nice book, and it's short, man. I mean, you're not going to be spending 8 hours reading this. It's like a 4-hour read. It's awesome. 150 pages of goodness, so get on it. Thank you for your time, and goodbye.